Not into Pokemon Go? That is okay. We still like you. But maybe you'd be interested in using your smartphone to catch and collect something a little more biodiverse and real than Charmander or Squirtle. We still like them. But joining us to talk about an app that gamifies biology is Lauren Silverman from NPR's Weekend Edition and KERA in Dallas. Welcome, Lauren.
Welcome to me. Thanks.
I know you're more normally doing the interviewing, so thanks for letting us interview you. So tell us a little bit about the app iNaturalist.
So it's an app that is actually somewhat new to me. I'd heard about it before, but if you want to imagine it like Pokemon Go with real critters that you can track and pick up, and fungus and plant life and pretty much anything you can imagine. The idea behind it was a few people who got started, were working on a master's project at UC Berkeley, so out in your neck of the woods, and they wanted to think of a way to make science more engaging. So instead of textbooks or maybe having to go to a museum, they wanted to get people involved in science themselves. And so what they did was essentially try and almost gamify science by having people use these magic tools that we all have in our pockets, these phones, to take photos of the things that they're seeing out in nature in their own backyards or in their school or on a hike, wherever, and to upload it, to share it with people, and then have multiple users from all over the place identify the species or identify it, and then have it be a collaborative process. So it's a way to get people involved in science that's pretty new and a lot less boring than your typical book.
So your radio report on this, you went to a mothing event. Tell us a little bit about what a mothing event is.
Yeah, I'd never heard of that either, but basically it's what it sounds like. It's people getting together to look at moths, but it's cool because you have to attract the moths. You know, they come out at night. They're the opposite of butterflies in that sense. And to attract them, they hang these white sheets and then have black lights that you'd expect to find in like a club or something. And the bugs just all flock to the white surface. And they start coming. First, it's just a few of them, and it's ones you might be familiar with. And then stranger moths that I didn't even know existed start appearing, and beetles. That one you just showed is a Texas longhorn beetle, which I liked because I'm not from Texas, so it was new to me. And then everyone pulled out their cameras and just started, taking photos of these bugs and then uploading them onto iNaturalist. And if you have your location setting on your phone, it will put a pin where you've uploaded that observation, very scientific term for it. So you upload it, it shows the pin where you've seen the observation. You can type in any notes, what you think it is, what the conditions were. And once you've uploaded it, other people who are on the site, either then or any other time, can comment, and experts end up helping to identify what it is. So it's almost like crowdsourcing science.
So it's available on iPhone and Android, and Jason downloaded it on his Android phone, and he has that now.
It's kind of off in the distance. We're in the process of breaking down our studio, getting ready for the move, so we don't have the overhead shot, but yeah, I've got it right here. You've got kind of all the things broken out into their own categories. What we're looking at right now is actually the Olompali State Historic Park. And so there's a bunch of people just like offering different, discoveries that they make. I think here, is more in vegetation around the park and everything like that. But there is no Pokeball throwing, though, and no gyms for these insects and plant life to train at, right?
No, there's not. But when I talked to one of the co-creators of it, Scott Laurie, who works at the California Academy of Sciences, which actually bought up the app, they own it now. He said that they are working on ways to make it more game-like and to take advantage of the Pokemon craze. So if you go on Twitter and you type in #PokeBlitz, you can actually see people uploading instead of Pokemon uploading images just like they would to iNaturalist on Twitter and getting people on Twitter to help identify what they are. But another cool thing about it is that it's actually led to some real discoveries, actual species discoveries, new species. And there was one story, someone who was on a trip in Vietnam, I think it was just a tourism, happened to see this snail and upload a photo of the snail a few years ago. And someone who is an expert in mollusks, which includes snails, saw this image and said, oh my gosh, I've read about this or I've seen it in drawings. It's this drawing from a voyage that Captain Cook went on a long, long time ago, but it had never been photographed before. So this was the first photograph that people had seen of this mollusk described on one of Captain Cook's voyages.
That's amazing. I think we're looking at that story now.
Yeah.
So
and, it doesn't look that amazing, the snail, but it's cool.
If you're into snails, I'm sure it is. Yeah. So you talked to a lot of bug fanatics on the Mothing event. What are some of their other stories that you heard about?
One person who was there was this man named Stalin, and he's from South India, and he's really into photography. So it brought out people who love nature photography as well. And he is, an avid citizen scientist, someone who goes out and is constantly observing the world around him and the insects and the plant life and trying to document it, both for science and just because he loves photography. And so he was really excited to be at the Mothing event and has, I don't know how many observations on his phone, but there was a woman there who had, I can't remember, thousands, maybe definitely hundreds or 1,000 observations that she'd uploaded. Wow. And it takes time to do this, And every time she finds something new that she thinks is interesting, her name's Anna Lindquist. When she finds something, she'll tag people, just like you would in Twitter when you're trying to get someone's attention, or Facebook. She'll tag people who she knows are experts in specific areas, so that they will look at the photo and help her identify what it is.
That's great. And a few weeks ago, we spoke to someone about amateur astronomy, and it was the same thing. It was just people in their backyards just interested, but all of the technology and Reddit and all the social networking makes the ability to give all these amateurs direct access to scientists and actually help them with their jobs.
Yeah, it helps them. And the other story was there was someone in Colombia who a few years ago saw a frog. I think it was a red and black frog that he uploaded an image of. And I believe he was a photographer, definitely interested in nature, but I don't think he was trained. He's not a frog expert by any means. And someone in Washington, D.C., who does study poison dart frogs, saw this photo, and they realized it was a new species. And the two of them co-authored a paper in a peer-reviewed science journal about their discovery.
Wow. So is this app recommended for adults and kids?
Definitely. And that's both the benefit, I think, to it and the challenge that they have with making it more widespread is it has to appeal to both a 5-year-old kid who just is looking on the sidewalk or in his front yard, and to the world's foremost beetle expert or mosquito expert. So it's like trying to find the balance between being too science, high level, nerdy, and then also being appealing to kids.
Well, thank you so much. And definitely, if anyone's getting tired of Pokemon, this is probably the next step. Lauren Silverman is at KERA in Dallas. She's a health and tech reporter, and she is on Twitter at @LSilverwoman. Thanks so much for joining us, Lauren.
Thank you. Have fun.
Thank you, Lauren.
Take care.